Welcome to Savvy Business, Life Unscripted with your host, Christina Rivera, where our guests share their wisdom and valuable business tips, empowering our audience to expand their personal potential.
Hi, Debbie McGrann. Welcome to Savvy Broadcasting, Life Unscripted. We're so grateful to have you here today. How are you?
I'm wonderful. Thanks for having me.
Oh, you betcha. You're going to talk about an important topic at a time where people are really concerned about health. Right now, we're interviewing during the time of the coronavirus crisis. People are on lockdown, and they're quite concerned about their health and how they're going to go forward. But you had a health issue that prompted you to eventually write your book, The Accidental Cure. You were diagnosed with multiple sclerosis and celiac disease, and through the power of nutrition, we're able to find a solution for your body and health. That is a great story to share with people, to know that they have the power to help themselves. So welcome to the show.
Thank you very much.
Yeah. So share with us, how did it come about that you even found that you were sick, and then why did you even come to deciding that I'm going to find some solutions? How did that work out for you?
Well, the most important word that you used was power. We have to be empowered to seek our own solutions and to take charge and control of our own health and our family's health. That's what we're experiencing right now with this virus. Of course, the government is doing wonderful things, but we have to be in control of our health. And the reason I had to take charge was because multiple sclerosis is considered an incurable disease. And I was dying from it. I knew I was dying. And I told my friend, please take care of my family when I'm gone, because I was that sick.
Wow.
And I was literally starving to death. And
really?
Yes.
What is multiple sclerosis for those who just might not know exactly what the disease is?
Multiple sclerosis is an autoimmune disorder that affects your brain mostly. Multiple sclerosis means scars. And it's brain scarring. It's lesions on the brain is how they diagnose it. But when I started doing my research, when I was diagnosed, I told my husband, I said, I think MS means missed something. I think they're missing something. I always had the gut instinct that there was just something they were not discovering. And as I got sicker and sicker and sicker, there's the treatment at the time was, and still is now, extremely dangerous autoimmune drugs.
Wow.
The side effects are deadly. And I told my husband, and they're very expensive. They're like $70,000 a year.
Whoa.
Yes.
Not everyone can afford that.
Nobody can afford it. And I said to my family, I'm not going to die and leave you bankrupt, not to do that. So I decided I wasn't going to take the drugs. And when I made that decision, there was no other options for me. The doctors basically said, well, goodbye, goodbye.
Yeah.
So as I got worse and worse, I knew I had to do something on my own. And then 2008, New Year's Day, I said to my husband, I have one goal this year. I'm going to cure my multiple sclerosis.
Wow.
Yeah.
Well, that's quite a goal there. So now that you're in a position, and this is such a great story, because so many of the savvy business owners and just listeners had a catastrophe crisis in their life that caused them to even start a business. But in your case, it caused you to say, okay, how do I get back into health, into full healthiness? And so with that moment you're in there, they've told you, the doctors, okay, you don't do this, you got no options.
Right.
Where did you even begin to decide, like, how do I empower myself? Where did you start at that point? How did it look for you?
Well, let me tell you, when you sit in front of that doctor and you say no to the only treatment that they're offering, it takes all the courage that you've ever had in your life. It takes all the courage. And because you're going against everything, and then you're on your own. You're just on your own. And you just kind of have to be, you have to be ready to deal with the consequences. And in my situation, the consequence was death. But I figured those drugs were offering me death. So And then the other thing I started thinking was the drugs don't even claim to be a cure. If they just claim you may not get worse. So I thought the risk was too great. I thought, well, maybe I can just wait a few years and there'll be a real cure that comes along. Why would I do this and kill myself? So it was a struggle as I got worse and worse. I was terrible. I lost my hearing. My vision was affected. I could barely walk. I was grateful for every day that I could get out of bed and walk to the bathroom. That's how bad it was. And the pain was incredible. So, you know, it was,
Yeah, I didn't know that you had pain. Well, I don't know anything about this illness. So you are in pain. Things are going downhill. Your health-wise. Where did you begin to find some solution? How did that happen?
Well, like I say, I made that decision. New Year's Day, I made that decision. I drew a line in the sand and I said, you know what? If it's going to be, it's up to me. I'm going to die fighting. That's how I figured. So I used to be a technical research specialist at NASA. And so I came equipped with some research skills. So I started researching everything I had and trying to put together the pieces. I looked at my family history. My sister and I discussed it. It was me, my sister, my daughter, and my best friend. It was like a little mastermind. You know, how do we get through this? And then one day I was doing some research on bone pain. Bone pain is what I was having, excruciating bone pain. And I did some research and this word gluten came up. And I had never heard of this word gluten. So I was having lunch, Mother's Day lunch with my daughter. And I said, Jen, you know, I keep hearing about this word gluten. I said, let's stop by the bookstore and see if we can find anything. And we did. And we discovered, this was in 2008, you know, gluten wasn't that well known back then. And there was a book, Gluten Free for Dummies. So I bought that book and I started reading it, and Jennifer and I were looking at it and we were saying, gee, you've got all these symptoms. This fits you to a T. So when you look at the MS symptoms, they're identical to what these symptoms were in the book. And I said the next day was Mother's Day. And I said, okay, no donuts from me because I'm gluten-free. I said, I don't know what that means, but I'm gluten-free. So I did it cold turkey, Mother's Day morning. And that day, this is so funny, that day we're riding back from her house in North Carolina to DC. And my husband and I'm reading through the book, you know, trying to figure out, well, what can I eat? So I had a banana and a cup of tea before we left. And I discovered in the book that McDonald's French fries were gluten-free. So I don't normally like McDonald's, but my husband likes it. So I said, why don't we stop by McDonald's for lunch? Okay, sure. So I had a thing of French fries and some sweet tea. Then we're going down the road and I got hungry again. I said, do you want to stop again? So we did. So I had another little bag of French fries and sweet tea. Get home and I'm hungry. So I scrambled some eggs, had a banana and tea. That's all I ate that day. French fries, banana, tea, scrambled eggs. I was better the next day.
Wow, that quick. That's amazing. Quick.
And I didn't believe it. So I looked it up in the book and it said that some results could be immediate.
Wow. And that's pretty immediate. Now, it's interesting because so many of my friends have had issues with autoimmune one way or another, myself included, thyroid issues. And often I hear this gluten thing come up. Why is it such a disaster? Or, share with me what you've learned.
Well, because I discovered through my research in this book that there's over 100 autoimmune disorders. And most autoimmune disorder patients are women. It's like 75% women. And the root cause of the autoimmune conditions are celiac disease. MS and polythyroid and lupus and arthritis, they are symptoms of celiac disease.
Wow.
they're not separate. In my mind, they're not separate diseases. They are symptoms. They are a group of symptoms.
Mm.
So when you cure, and celiac disease is a gluten intolerance disease. So the only cure for celiac disease is a gluten-free diet, lifetime gluten-free diet. So once you cure the celiac disease, your multiple sclerosis goes away.
Mm.
So the same with thyroid issues and lupus and arthritis. There's all kinds of cases. But why is the information not getting out? That's the most important question.
Yeah.
Because your doctor is being trained by the pharmaceutical companies.
Mm. And we want to make money off of sick people.
And I never wanted to believe that. But the more I looked into it, that $100,000 a year on the drugs versus no money for them for food.
Mm. Wow.
And the doctors are not getting the information. Plus, I go on and blog, and comment on Facebook pages and all that. The MS Society shuts me down.
Mm.
As soon as I start saying a diet will help you, they take my post down.
Yeah, it's sad. And I know some doctors will say, well, you shouldn't stop the idea of using traditional therapies because they should. Well, they can, but they could also look at, I would say as a doctor, you'd want to include at least some dietary things.
Here's the good thing with me, and this is why I think I'm such a great case. I never took the drugs.
Yeah.
I never took any of their drugs. So they can't say, oh, it wasn't your diet, it was the drugs. No, it wasn't. It was my diet only, because that's all they did.
Yeah. Yeah.
So they can't make that claim, oh, you should, you should try everything. You should do everything. No, you shouldn't. And, their oath is, at first, do no harm. At first, do no harm. So why wouldn't they start with the diet first rather than drugs that can kill you?
Well, that makes sense. Try the least drastic thing first and then move on to more, aggressive therapies.
Yeah.
Well, I think everyone should have the empowerment to make their own choices and so it's wonderful that they have an option to read your book and discover for themselves, is this something that could work? Because for you were a situation that, boom, you got pretty quick results, and there's no reason they can't try it. So where can they get a copy of The Accidental Cure?
Of course, it's on Amazon. That's the best place to get it. It's on Amazon. It's on something else called Lulu, but it's on Amazon. And for $25, to buy the book and to get such incredible information, my dream is that everybody that's diagnosed with MS or any other autoimmune disorder gets handed this book and a copy of Gluten Free for Dummies. Let's start there.
Yeah.
Because my book gives them hope.
Yes.
And the one thing I never had was hope. There was no hope. There was no hope. And when you're living with a disease and you're getting worse and worse and worse every day, and there's no hope, that's pretty hard to bear.
No, absolutely. And I don't want anyone out there feeling like that. So everyone, get empowered for your family, yourself. If you feel or you feel hopeless and are going through a similar situation, or someone who is, let them learn themselves, discover, and see if this is a plan that can help them heal themselves. Right. Get The Accidental Cure from Amazon. And I have to thank you, Debbie, for sharing this great information today on Savvy Business, Savvy Broadcast. Thanks for coming today. Well, thank you so much for having me. I know we've helped people. I know you have. Thank you so much, and God bless you. If you like this episode, please share. To hear more Savvy episodes and Savvy Biz tips, go to lifeunscriptedradio.com. To become a guest or participate in paid sponsorship, email us at Christina@lifeunscriptedradio.com.